It is catching a bid today on news of Elon Musk buying more shares, roughly $1 billion worth. All right, Megan, thank you so much for joining us as usual. Let's talk about your data and what it shows you about sentiment as it relates to Tesla now.
Yeah, so when we look at Tesla stock, definitely a huge vote of confidence from Musk coming in today. At a high level, we see investors really like whenever Musk is focused on Tesla, and right now it appears that he is. And when we look at this, especially on a near-term perspective, we're starting to see some recovery in Tesla, not just in overall brand sentiment and how consumers are approaching the brand, but also in terms of digital demand. And so this is really important because we know that the EV tax credit is expiring at the end of the month, and a lot of investors are wondering, was there this pull forward effect in consumers who are trying to get ahead of this expiration? And it definitely showed up in our data. When we look at these web visits, we have them tracking up about 7% year over year. And so we definitely see those signs that consumers were, scrambling, trying to get ahead, go ahead and place an order to get that vehicle in possession. And you can see this on the chart here. That's on that blue line. Those are these forward-looking consumer web visits. And this is US-based. And so I think that this is really important because it also shows a pretty steep recovery from some lows. And it really highlights that shift in sentiment that we're seeing whenever we're looking at this Tesla consumer. Just to give some perspective, we have these visits tracking up about 7% year over year right now. Back in April, they dipped as low as negative 33% year over year. So certainly if you're a Tesla investor, you like to see this strong, perhaps stronger than expected digital demand right now.
Okay, yeah, so that is, it's interesting to see that the digital demand checks that you have on Tesla, and especially you make a great point about the tax credit because I was wondering about that and how that may impact demand for Tesla and vehicle purchases, especially as it relates to, say, competitors in general, and the stock certainly catching a bid today. So thank you for bringing that data. What is your data showing you what it looks like beyond vehicles, say, the robo-taxis? I know you have some data on that.
Yeah, so, we look at this digital demand right now whenever you think about Tesla just as a purely, auto play as a car maker. But I think long-term, the big bet on Tesla is that it's expanding beyond just selling vehicles and expanding, just beyond those traditional auto sales. And I think robo-taxi is the first avenue here of expanded revenue. And when we look at those app downloads, again, just another sign from consumers, we see an overwhelming demand on the first day that the robo-taxi app kind of expanded to a massive audience at large. You can see that on this chart here. This is from ARC, but I think that this just shows consumers are willing and excited about this autonomous future, and it could be a pretty significant revenue driver for Tesla long term. And I think another area that we're kind of looking into is also Optimus. Musk has made some pretty strong comments. I think that, insinuating that Optimus could drive 80% of Tesla's value in the future. And this is certainly, a long-term catalyst when you think about this company, but it's important whenever you're thinking as a long-term investor, are you betting on Tesla just as a traditional auto manufacturer, or are you betting on Tesla as, the next major player in autonomy and also in robotics? And so these are two sectors that we anticipate large growth for, and we certainly see Tesla as a main player here.
That's the question too, right? What does the engagement look like beyond vehicles? Because the argument that proponents make is that Tesla is more than a car company. It's about AI. And so you really need to look at it that way, especially those who are really bullish on that. Can you tell me a little bit more about the trends in that area? Because I've seen one of those robots in person. It looks both cool and I don't want to call it scary, but it's just like we're in the future now when you see one of those. Tell me a little bit more about the trends in that area.
Yeah, I think that, whenever we look at consumer mentions on social media, consumers are very curious. I think that some skepticism is warranted for sure. But this is an area where we see, we're listening to other companies who are talking about efficiencies and driving efficiency, whether you're talking about Amazon or Walmart, they're leaning into this robotics. And so you have Tesla who, has this Optimus robot obviously helping in warehouses now, or in manufacturing plants now, but, Elon has insinuated that this can be in the household. And so I think that this is an area to watch moving forward. certainly can provide some near-term efficiencies, but if it does take hold, if this is something that consumers decide that, yes, they really want this can be more efficient for them, it could be a major catalyst for the company. So I think that remains to be proven, but definitely worth watching and can definitely drive some shareholder value.
All right, Megan, we will leave our conversation there for now. Shares of Tesla right now rallying 6% today. Thank you, Megan. That's Megan Brantley, Vice President of Research at LikeFolio. Appreciate that perspective. And now for the trade.